Hi, guys. Have you ever gone on a diet and been frustrated with how slow you're getting results? I think most of us can relate. But imagine how much that frustration compounds when you're seeking to heal, grow, and recover from heartbreak or betrayal. We're talking here today about 10 principles that you can apply in your life when things aren't changing fast enough for you. And we'll be right back to explore those principles a little bit more. Okay, so we're talking about 10 principles that you can apply in your life when change isn't happening fast enough. Desired change isn't happening fast enough. And let's go through some of those and see what they are. Number one, well, before I do that, let me get back to, I want to get to the meme that kind of spurred my thinking on all of this. And it said, be patient with yourself. You're working on it. And I think that's good advice for us all to remember when we're going through changes in our life and those changes aren't happening fast enough. And particularly when we're seeking to heal, grow, and recover from heartbreak or betrayal, and that's not happening fast enough. Be patient with yourself. You're working on it. Here's some of those principles I'd like to share with you. Number one is celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate even the smallest achievements when it comes to growth and healing and recovery. And recognize that progress boosts motivation. I really like that saying that says recovery is not a race. And so maybe it's time to kind of like give yourself permission not to think about it as something that you have to hurry up and be done with, but just go ahead and work through the process of recovery for yourself. Number two, another principle that when you're working on it and change is not happening fast enough is practice self-compassion. And I really like this one. And here's the advice, is that treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend facing a similar challenge. And that always helps me to shift my paradigm on this, because it's too easy for me to be self-critical when it comes to seeking change. But when it comes to me and when I'm working with people, is that I have a lot of patience with them, and I extend grace to them. And I want to remind them that, failure is part of the process. And so if I treat others that way, why shouldn't I grant myself the same grace? Here's another principle number 3. When you're working on it and change isn't happening fast enough for you, your heart isn't healing fast enough, is that set realistic goals. I've been coaching a lot of folks here recently, and self-discovery is one thing, and we spend a lot of time kind of in that mode of self-discovery, but then growing past those habits that we've developed in our life can really become a challenge. So what we have to do is that we have to break larger goals into smaller achievable steps. And I always like to remind people about how to eat an elephant. And of course, you know how to do that, right? One bite at a time. Again, I tell people that by the yard it's hard, but by the inch it's a cinch. So just celebrate these the small steps and set realistic goals for yourself along the way. Number 4 is that when you're working on it and you want your heart to heal, but it's not happening as fast as what you want, is that focus on the process. Boy, that is really good advice there, is that instead of becoming obsessed with the outcome, just focus your attention, shift your attention from the outcome to the effort that you're putting in, and enjoy the journey. Now, most of these journeys aren't too enjoyable, but they can really be valuable to work through these things a step at a time. So just enjoy the journey along the way. Here's another tip that might work for you, and that's just simply keep a journal. Document your thoughts, feelings, and progress. Actually, I did this for myself for many, many years with a little prayer journal that I would put down the prayer request, and then I'd go back through and review it. And it was always wonderful to see how many of those prayers were answered. And so when you have that down in writing, you can go back through and reflect on your journey, and you can see how far you've come along the way. And I would also encourage you to pray about your progress, and that you can see God work in your life. And God oftentimes works in our lives. He never works as fast as what we would like for him to work, but we can count on him that when we are in the process and seeking what is good for our life, and healing, growth, and recovery, is that he's going to be with us on that journey. Again, we're focusing on when you're working through it, following a hurt or betrayal or heartbreak. And number 6 is seek support. And I can't begin to tell you how important that is that when you go it alone, is that more often than not that you're not going to make it. It's just the way it is. And so, and it's important to surround yourself with friends and family and support groups. But I really would encourage you to think carefully about that, because what you really want is that you want allies in your growth, and not just people who will commiserate with you in your pain. And oftentimes when we've been hurt, is that what we seek are people who will commiserate with us in our pain. But really what we need is someone who will help us to take the next step forward in our growth and recovery. And so having a support team can provide you with encouragement. Number 7 here, 10 principles that we're looking at on how to keep on track when change isn't happening fast enough, is practice mindfulness. Stay grounded in the present to reduce anxiety about your progress. I'll just have to confess that that's really been hard for me personally in the ministry, is that there have been plenty of times that I have a pretty easy time of seeing the objective, but what happens is that then emotionally I begin to struggle when things aren't happening, like what we're talking about here, when change isn't happening fast enough. Just a couple more, 3 more here to focus on, and one is that limit comparisons. A while back, I connected with a therapist just to work through some issues in my own life. And when I was talking with the therapist, I was talking about this matter of comparison, and he just reminded me of just how deadly that is. You see, I'm not called to run your race. and you're not called to run mine. And so when we begin to compare ourselves with other people on the journey, is that it's easy to get discouraged. What we have to do is that we just have to respond to what God has called us to and be faithful in that, and you're going to get there if you just don't quit. And so there's a call to perseverance for each one of us, and to forget about other folks who are running their race well. We just need to focus on ours. So avoid comparing your progress to others. Your journey is unique, and comparisons lead to unnecessary negativity. Number 9 is stay flexible. Setbacks are a normal part of growth. And I actually have a whole course on this, called Successfully Failing. And most people that I know are failures at failing. And so when they fail, that they give up, they become discouraged, that they just surrender in that process, and they don't have a support team to encourage them, help them along, and they don't pick themselves up and dust themselves off and get back on track. And there's a number of other steps that can help you to be a success at failing, because you're going to do it. We don't like to hear that, but you're going to do that, and particularly when you have been hurt and deeply hurt, there are going to be times when you kind of circle back to that pain and ruminate on it and struggle with it. And so you just have to understand that those setbacks are a normal part of growth. And so adjust your goals and methods as needed. And then finally here is that see yourself succeeding. Visualize your goals and reaping the benefits. One of the things that we say in our Beyond Betrayal program is that life can be good again beyond betrayal. And so often, when we've been betrayed, we find ourselves living the life that we did not want. But we fail to, and there's no way that we can see it at this stage in the game, of the good things that God has in store for us. But when you visualize reaping your goals, when you believe that you can be healed, you can grow, you can recover, that when you hear stories of other people who have done that can help you to stay motivated and positive along the way. So those are 10 principles that I wanted to share with you about progress, so that you can avoid self-criticism when change isn't happening in your life as fast as you would like. So, we have a little webinar coming up that's for free. And I call it Driver's Training, Successfully Navigating the Freeways of Conflict. And one of the things that I see all throughout, not just in romantic relationships, but interpersonal relationships with friendships and on the job and in the church and so on, is that people just don't seem to know how to successfully manage those freeways of conflict. And so that our first webinar is free with that, and so you're welcome to join us. That's coming up this Thursday, August 8th. And if you're not able to attend the webinar, then by registering, you can get access to the replays. So I'd encourage you to do that. All right. Well, I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today, and I hope that this material has been a blessing for you. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.